Today we'll begin with what is a version control system. Like we got an overview or a big picture of what is DevOps, why DevOps is implemented, right, in the last class. So today we'll begin with what is a version control system, why do we need a version control system, and the architecture of a version control system, and we'll begin with the setup and the hands-on. So that is the agenda for today. So let's begin and let us understand what is a version control system. Before I explain these things, let me ask you, how many of you are using any version control system and any idea about what a version control system does?
We
Basically,
are using SVN in environment.
Hmm?
SVN.
Okay, you are using SVN. So what is a version control system?
Priti, I think version control system, it's like we have a GitHub and Git and the SVN. There's
Hmm.
other methodologies, and through that we can maintain our repository of our, the code which we use it based on depends on the updates, and we can keep our versions of the code on a daily basis, and we can track them whenever we want, and what is the changes been made, when is the changes is made. At the same time, if in case of any kind of client requirement, anything comes back and stating to change the code to go back and make the changes, we can do that immediately, immediate changes. Even if it's 10 days, 30 days, 3 months, we can immediately go back and start working on that. So that's what the version control system, I think I understand.
Yep. So version control system will help us maintain versions backup of the code. Let me explain you this with an example. Right, version control system is a tool which is required, and what happens if we don't use this? Let's say this is some project, okay, some folder, some shared folder across the teams. Okay, here is all the project work kept. Okay, and let's say multiple people are working, let's say DevOps person 1, DevOps person 2. See, everyone will be using a version control system. It might be used by developers, testers, as well as DevOps teams. So let's say we are having some project work kept on a remote location like this, and there were 2 DevOps persons who want to work on the same file. Let's say DevOps person 1 got this file 1 to his local computer. At the same time, second person also got this file to his local computer, same file. And the person 1 is making changes to this, and he put the file back. Okay. Then let's say this person also has kept the file back. Developer 2 also, or developer or DevOps person also kept this file back. Let's say first person kept this file back on Monday. Okay. And then this person kept his file back with his changes on Wednesday. Now tell me, what the file on this remote location, file 1, will have which person changes on this remote after Wednesday? Which person changes will be present in here?
DevOps too.
DevOps.
DevOps too.
A second person changes, right? Here it's a
Yeah.
simple logic. If you don't use any version control system, it will have the person 2 changes. Means what is happening here? Person 2 changes are overriding the person 1 changes, right? The second person doesn't know he's doing this. Even second person doesn't know his changes are being overwritten, right? So if this keep on continuing, and there'll be a team of people in the project, right? So if this keep on going on, project gets corrupted at some state, right? It doesn't work anymore. It goes into a serious problem. So how to avoid this? Means we need a system which can allow people working simultaneously, parallelly, right? Even though they work on the same files, we need a system which can manage them, which can see that the changes are not overwritten, changes are not ignored, right? They were saved properly. That's one of the reasons where version control system comes in. It allows people to work simultaneously on the same files, right? That's one thing. Another thing is, okay, let's suppose application is working today fine till 7 a.m. Something happened at 7:15, application went down, right? We want to bring the application to the previous state immediately, right? So you need to have a detailed logging, a kind of, okay, at 7:10, some person made, person A or person, first person made some changes to file to on line number 6. If you have this kind of detailed kind of log, you can identify the changes, revert those changes, correct? So that's a second thing where versions or else where you need to have a detailed log of what happened. Isn't it? Without any system, can you do this kind of logging manually? Not possible, right? As a DevOps person, you might be working on some configuration files. If it is developer, he'll be working on his code. Testers will be working on his automation test scripts and so on. So we need a system which can help us with this kind of detailed logging. Also, another thing, another scenario. Let's suppose you're working on file 1. It's a version 1. Okay, you made some changes to it. It's a version 1. Like it's working fine. Now client want to make a second version by making some changes. Let's suppose you have edited the same, like I have modified the same and made it version 2. After 6 months back, client want to go back to the previous version 1. But you have deleted it or you have modified and made it version 2. Don't ever do that. Maintain the versions, backups, correct? Right? So that at any point of time, if you want to go back to the previous version, it shouldn't be a rework, correct? So these are all some of the reasons where a version control system comes in, right? It can allow people work simultaneously at the same time on the same file. It can provide you with a detailed logging. It can help you with the backups and maintain the versions, which is very important in the real practice. So that's what a version control system does. And who will use it? Nowadays, anyone in IT should know version control system. Earlier, way back, long back, it was only developers who should know it. But everyone need this. It's not because you write your code. Even as a DevOps person, I have my Terraform config files, Kubernetes manifest files, or else any automation scripts or backup scripts, right? So everyone will have this version, will use this version control system. Version control system can manage any files, any static files, irrespective of what language they were written in or what script it is. Any files can be version controlled by the version control system. And anyone in IT, everyone should know it. That's the reason of learning it. You might be having a question like, why do we need it? We don't write the code. It could be any file, your Kubernetes files, your config files, your Ansible playbooks, anything, right? So everyone should know version control system. So first we will learn it from the perspective of managing our projects, managing our files. Second, we will learn it from the sorry, from the perspective of integrating it in the CI/CD pipeline. Like, okay, developer made some change. Immediately, it should be identified and it should be progressed or processed into the pipeline. So we will also learn version control system from that perspective. So first we'll begin working with files, like how to manage your project. Then we will talk about the CI/CD part. Are we clear?
Yeah, Priti, I have one question here. Developer made changes into the file system. So immediately it should go to the CI/CD pipeline. So how do I know that?
That's what you have to configure pipeline such as a way that whenever developers make a change, it will be identified. How it will be identified, that's what we'll be learning, how to configure your pipelines to identify those commits.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So we were talking about what is a version control system. Right. So now that we understood version control system, let's talk about the types of version control systems. See, version control systems based on their architecture were categorized as centralized version control system and distributed version control system. And here I would like to remind you, like I said already, you might be having idea on, we'll be learning everything from scratch, from basics till advanced part. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to explain you the types architecture before we jump into the hands-on, which is very much needed. See, learn the in and around the tools to gain expertise on the subject, not just the commands which we use. You should also learn how it is working, what is happening at the back end. Okay, that's the idea of going through this. So yeah, depending on the architecture, they were categorized as centralized version control systems and distributed. And this is the architecture of centralized version control systems. Okay, if you look into this architecture, here, yes, there is a central server or remote repository. This is called as central server or remote repository, where all the project work, all the code base would be. And this is the workstation of each individual user. Like if you're talking about development team, developer, or if you're talking about DevOps team, a DevOps engineer. Okay, this is the workstation of each individual user. So how the work happens, each user will connect to this remote repository or central server, get the code from there, get the files from there, make changes and put them back. That's how the central version control system works. It's very simple. And the technical terms to get the code to their local computer is like checkout and, sorry, typos. Checkout and check-in. Right? Those are the technical terms used. Again, that's how they get the code and put the code back. So here, the architecture is very simple, but it has got certain drawbacks. Like the first one is, to work with this kind of system, you need to have always network connectivity. Right? If some reasons network disconnected, you can't connect to the remote machine, you don't have network, right? Entire work is halted. That's one reason. And second reason is suppose like this central server is crashed for some reason or gone. Okay, let's suppose this is gone or crashed. Entire work is lost. All the project work is lost. Chances of recovery are very less. That's the second challenge you have here. These are some of the challenges you have with this kind of systems. And to overcome these drawbacks, you have got distributed architecture. See here, this is the distributed architecture. Distributed version control systems will have a central server or remote repository, and this is the workstation of each individual user. And this is the workstation of each individual user. User 1, user 2, user 3. And like I said, this is the central server or remote repository. And every user will connect to this remote server and they will get a copy from the remote. Means, okay, this is remote. This is the workstation of each individual user. They'll get a copy from remote and this is called as local repository. Means in distributed version control architecture, you'll have two repositories. One is remote repository and the second one is local repository. Okay, and every user, they'll have a copy and create local repository. And again, they'll not work directly on this local. Rather, they'll work on some other directory called working directory. Okay, they make changes here, push them to local repo. From local repo, they'll push to remote. Right, that is how it works. That's how the architecture works. Right? So, like the same is the case. Everyone will have their own local repo. They'll work on another directory, push the changes to local, then to remote. Means, let's say you have to push your changes to remote, right? It is 3 steps. First, from working directory, you have to push to local, from local to remote. That's the architecture, right? And here it overcomes the challenges. Like, let's suppose you don't need to have network connectivity always. You don't need to have network connectivity always. Let's suppose, okay, network disconnected. You can still continue working on local. Only to push to remote, right? You need to have a network connectivity, isn't it? Pushing to remote or pulling from remote means downloading it or you upload your changes to remote are less frequent. Only once your complete changes are done, you push to remote, isn't it? So even though network is disconnected, entire work is not halted. You can still continue working on your local. Okay, that's a one thing. Second thing is, even though this remote server is gone for some reasons, let's say, chance of recovery are more because everyone is having their local copy. Correct? And that's how it overcomes the drawbacks of centralized version control system. And distributed version control systems are used nowadays in the modern DevOps projects. Particularly, Git comes under this distributed version control systems. Centralized version control systems are SVN, TFS, Perforce. These are all centralized version control systems. Git, Mercurial, Fossils. These comes under distributed version control systems, and out of all of those, Git is very widely used and very famous, particularly for all the modern DevOps projects. You can imagine repository is like a folder, Srinivas, folder where you have all your project work kept. Understood this architecture, everyone? Any questions?
No, no questions.
Good. So that's how you have the architecture of this distributed version control systems. And yeah, see, when you see here Git, you can, when you compare it with other version control systems like SVN, TFS, Fossils, you can see the blue graph is for Git. You can see how widely it is used. Like I said, there were so many tools under the category. Like these are all different version control systems. It's not that you should learn Git, you should learn SVS, SVN, TFS, and so on. No, not required. You learn one tool which is very widely used in the market. You master one tool, or else let's say you are in some project, you already know the tool. You master it. Switching to other tools would be very simple or self-explanatory. You don't need to separately learn from others, or all. You can just switch to other tools because the analogy, the concepts remain same. The terminology may be different. Each tool may use a different terminology. Getting used to terminology will be simple. So try to master and excel in one tool under each category. That you should keep in mind throughout the course. Okay, not only this, any other tools. You should master expertise one tool. So here we'll be mastering Git. And of course, this is a graph from 2020, but till date also it would be the same. You can also check the latest graph in the Google Trends. All right. So now we understood the architecture of centralized version control systems and distributed version control system, right? Now let us understand the architecture of Git in particular. So here if you see, this is the local repository I'm talking about. Okay, and this is the remote one. I mean, this is the local workstation, local computer. Okay, now there is a remote repo. You get a copy from remote and create this local repository. Okay, now if you want to make any changes, you will not directly make here. You will have another directory called working directory. You make changes here. And it's not that again you push your changes directly this way. No, this is not possible. This is not possible. Then how do you push your changes? Let's say you want to make changes. How do you push your changes? Right? You have to first move your changes to staging area. This is how you should do. What is the staging area? Staging area is nothing but it's like a virtual layer. Okay, where you have to first move your changes to staging area. From staging area, you have to move your changes to local. From local to remote. I'll explain these commands later. Just try to understand the concept. That's how the flow is. You cannot jump in from working directory. You can't push to local directly, right? Or else you cannot directly push to remote. From working directory, you should move to staging area. From staging area to local repository. From local repository to remote repository. That's how you move the changes, right? Means it's like a 3 steps before you move your changes to remote. And until you move your changes to remote, no one else can see your changes. They are confined only for you. Only when you move your changes to others, your team can see those changes. Right? And yeah, another thing is there is another name for this staging area, which is called index area. It's a virtual layer. Okay, the importance of this is like, it is like a preview or else pre-check before you move your changes to staging. It's like a preview or a pre-check before you move your changes to local. What is meant by that again? In simple, I can say the staging area will help you have a better control on what changes are going to your local, because from local they are moved to remote, right? So it helps you to have a better control. Let's say in the working directory and have 10 files. Okay, only 5 files I want to move to remote. So you move only those 5 files to staging, only those 5 files will be moved to remote. When we start the lab, you'll get a much clarity on it. Okay, whatever we were talking now, I'll be showing you everything on the lab. In few minutes, we are going to do that. Before that, just get some understanding, get some overview on it. Okay, that's about the index area. So working directory, staging area, local repos, you can imagine them like a different directories. A virtual staging area is like a virtual folder or a directory. Okay, here let me tell you a very interesting thing. Git, see, learn the Git with the clarity. Learning Git with the clarity is very, very important. Git will be confusing, a little bit confusing in the beginning. Okay, but if you know, if you learn it with clarity and understand the concepts, you will enjoy working with Git. Of course, for any tool for that matter. So let me tell you here an interesting part. Like I said, this is a folder on your machine. Imagine it to be like a folder. This local repository, this working directory are one and the same folder. Logically, sorry, physically they are same. Same folder. If you are Linux person, it's a directory, same directory. Then how come you say it's a working directory and local repository, isn't it? Logically, they are different. What is meant by that again, logically different? Let me give you an example. Suppose this is a folder or a directory on your system. Okay. Let's suppose now you just have created a file here. You just created a file. Maybe you might have copied from somewhere and kept it here. When you just created a file, it's said to be in the working directory. Then let's say this folder name is project. Okay, project is a working directory. Now let's suppose you run the command git add, means add that file to staging file name. Then yes, it is set to be in the staging area. Then later on, let's suppose you do git commit command. Then it is set to be in the local repository. Means physically it's the same folder. Is that making sense? So working directory, local repository is one and the same. My working directory name is that project. Local repository name is also project. You just created a file means it's said to be in the working directory. If you run the command git add on that file means it is said to be in the staging area. If you do git commit, it's said to be in the local repository. Then if you do git push, it goes to remote. Understood this logic, everyone? Understood this concept? Are we clear?
Yes, yes, Priti.
Hmm?
Yes, Miss Madam.
Right. All right. So this is the thing, just understand and memorize these things. In few minutes, we are seeing them practically. And I would like to mention one more thing here. Local repository, this yellow box, right? That's a local repository, can be created in two ways. First scenario, first use case is, listen carefully. Assume that you joined the project. It's a older, like it's a 2-year-old project. You joined the team today, right? Already there's a remote repo because they have worked on so many Terraform files and so on. You have already a repository. So you copy from remote and create a local repository. That's one method. Second scenario is, let's say it's a new project. It was starting from scratch. They want to implement DevOps. They want to create Kubernetes manifest files. There's nothing on remote. It's a new project. So you create an empty local repository on your system, then develop the manifest files, right? Develop means it's not coding, okay? Creating, let's say. You create your Kubernetes manifest files, okay? You get those files ready, then you push to remote. That's another way, like you're creating an empty local repository manually. Okay, then develop your work and move to remote. That is another use case of creating local repository. Understood the two use cases? So yeah, we will be doing both these use cases. We'll get started with the second use case first. Today we'll get started with the second use case. Assume it's a new project. Forget about remote. There's nothing on remote. So you develop your local repository, you make your files. Once everything is good and ready, you push to remote. What is remote and all we will learn. Okay, so that's the architecture of Git. It's called Git tree. It's a 3 steps before your changes goes to remote. Now, if you understand this thoroughly, we can get started with the setup. We will install it and
Can
get
we compare this with the G drive?
compare this with
G drive.
G drive.
G drive also we have local copy when we install.
Let's take up this question after a few minutes. Okay, I'll show you practically. Then you tell me whether you can consider it like a G drive or not, right? Let's do some hands-on. And yeah, Git works on multiple operating systems. Means Git works with Windows, Linux, Mac. It perfectly works with any operating system. So you can also use Git on your Windows. If you have laptop, you can directly use Git there. Or else Linux machine or Mac, you can directly use Git. You don't need AWS here. Okay, we will start Git on our local machine on our laptop itself. So how to install Git? Let's see. Just all the links, like all the setup, everything is there in the drive. This is the folder you'll be getting access to. Whoever registered might have got access to this. So there is a folder called Git. Here you have everything. Git installation on Windows, Git installation on different systems, Git hands-on commands, everything. Links, everything were there. But this is the process you should do. Rather than remembering the links, understand the process because those URLs keep on changing. Go and do Git download. You will see the Git official page. This is the Git official page, gitscm.com. Okay, here you will see downloads. Can you see that? Depending on your operating system, either it is Windows or Mac or Linux. If it is Windows, download the executable, run the executable. It is very simple, right? Just download and run the executable. If you still need a help, if anyone is new to this, you have even the steps for it. Download it and you have the screenshot here. This is the executable. You'll have double click. It will launch a wizard. Just keep hitting next and continue through all the steps. That's all. Git will be installed. If it is Mac, just go to Mac. Okay, brew install. You can use homebrew or brew or port install Git on your terminal. Git will be installed, right? So it's very simple installing it. So once Git is installed, how to launch it? If it is Windows, you just go to the start menu and type in Git bash. Okay, if it is Mac, you can launch your terminal. Okay, this is my terminal. Okay, if you do Git, it is showing lot of verbose, means Git is installed. You can check the version by Git version command. Git is installed on my system, right? Now let us use Git. Means, okay, Git is installed on my system, but I need to tell Git, which folder it should version control, isn't it? I have so many folders in my system. Where is the project work kept? So I'm creating a folder called Git demo. Please keep muted, everyone. Unless you have a question, please keep muted. So create a folder called Git demo. Let's say it's you have some project, you give that name to your folder. Okay, you want to keep your project work. In my case, this is the one. So let's go there. And by the way, see, these are the simple commands to navigate through your file system. If it is Windows, you may double click and go there. Or else if you are using terminal or Git bash, you can use the simple commands. CD is to navigate. Okay, CD Git demo means you went to the Git demo project. Okay, that's a path. Or else if you are not comfortable with the CLI, you can also use the GUI. I have created a directory, go into that directory. Are we good? I believe everyone is using this terminal if you are using Mac. Comfortable with the small CLI commands, correct? Yes or no?
Is this for Windows or Mac?
This is Mac. In Windows also same thing you have to do. You can open a Git bash from your start menu and run these commands. If you are not comfortable with the CLI commands, you can use the GUI. Like create a folder by double click, right click, you do that way. Anything is fine. Are we good? Okay, so this is the folder I want to version control. Means I'm going to keep my files here. So I want Git to version control whatever present in here. Means I want this to be my local repository. So if you want to make this as your local repository, like I told you, it's a new project. There is nothing on remote. So I want to create an empty local repository. So go to the folder, whichever you want to make a local repository, and run the command called git init. Right? Git init means initializing it, starting it. In whichever folder you run this command, that folder or directory becomes a local repository. See here, initialize empty Git repository. Okay, this is the folder. In that it has created .git. To see the hidden files, ls-a. See, I'll teach these Linux commands separately. Here I'm just using CLI. If you're not comfortable, you can also do this. Okay, you can also see this CLI. You select the option to view hidden files. You can see that. There should be an option to see show view options. See the hidden files. Hidden files. As a list, as a gallery. Maybe here in Mac, it may not show you, or else it should show. There should be an option. It's okay. So you may check here, go back to your folder and see, or else here you can do ls-a. Do you see .git? So whichever folder .git is present, that is nothing but your local repository. Okay, but there were no files yet. I'm going to create a file. Okay, but before that, you can also see like the command git status. Right? No commits, no files you have. All right. Let me create some file here. Okay. How do you create a file? If you are already into CLI, you may use Touch or VI editor, or else you can also create a file this way. Right? One second. Let's say hello. Okay, small file I'm creating. I would like to move this to a new window. It was created in the default. You can do that way, or else you can use touch command file1.t. See, I'm creating just some text files, some dummy files. Because see here, I'm not using any Terraform config files or Kubernetes config files. It could be a Terraform file, or else Kubernetes file, or else it might be a Java program file for developers. It could be anything. Okay, the way you deal with the file, the way you manage remains same. It could be anyways. Right? So here I am not concentrating on the content or the file type. I'm just using some sample files. We will learn Git thoroughly with these sample files, and we'll be implementing it for all our projects coming up, like Kubernetes projects, Terraform, and so on. So I just created a sample file here. You may add any content if you want. right? Let's say I would add something like this. Okay, a small text I have added here, right? So, okay, fine, I have created a file. But now what is happening to the file? You do git status, it will tell you what's happening. And it tells you like it's untracked file. Means whenever you run git status, it will show you what is happening and it is telling you it is untracked. Means git know there is a file, but git is not tracking it. What you should do for git to track? And can you tell me where is this file now?
This file is on a local repository. No, it says on the installed local repository.
I think it's in a working directory.
It is in a working directory, right? Sometime back we have learned this logic, if you remember, right?
Correct.
It is this folder, okay? The folder name is git demo. This is the folder, okay? The folder name is git demo. If you just created the file means, where is it? I just
Working
created
directory.
the file. It's in a working directory, right? It is asking me to add, always related to the architectural diagram. It is asking me to do git add, means where is this file?
Working directory.
Working directory. So what you have to do? Git add. Now check the status. See, now it is not saying untracked. It is saying changes to be committed. To be committed means refer to this architectural diagram always. So where is it?
Staging.
It is in the staging area. Physically, it's in the same folder. Do you sense that? The same git demo is called working directory sometime back. The same git demo is called staging area now. Right now, it is asking me to commit. I'll do git commit -m. M is a mandatory, M means message. So I'll say, okay, some first commit, some message. So it says it is all good. And when you do the status now, working tree is clean. Working tree is clean means whatever changes you have in the working directory, everything will move to local repository. Right? That's a simple concept. ls will show the list of the files in that particular folder. Git ls files will list the files in the staging area and local repository. Because anyway I have moved it, it is showing me the same. Shall we repeat it with the same, with another file? Yeah. Like, see, I'm creating this file, file2. Okay. Now let's suppose, okay, I have created this file. Now, can you tell me where is this file to?
Working directory.
Working directory.
Working directory. See, it says it is untracked. Okay. ls will show both the files. What will git ls files do? See, only one file. Can you sense the difference now, everyone?
Yeah.
You're right. So
Yeah,
it
file 1 is committed and file 2 is not committed.
yes. That's why it's not showing under git ls files. Right? So now let's suppose what I have to do if I want to move this to staging, git add.
Git add.
Now can you tell me where is this file to?
Staging.
Staging area. Do the status. It will ask us to commit. Okay, fine. I'll do git commit -m, let's say second file or second commit, whatever, some message. Now, when you do git ls, do you see that? Right, both are there. And also git status will show it's clean. Means at the point I want to drive here is git demo is the working directory. Git demo is the staging area as well as local. The same folder. Logically, it is different. Now relate that with this diagram always. So working directory, these are all same. Accordingly, how your file is. If you just created it, you will call it as working directory. Then to staging area by git add and local repository by git commit. And then to remote. But before going to remote, there are many things we need to learn here. So we will learn them before we move to remote. Are we all good?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. I have questions.
Tell me, please.
We have created that folder in local computer, right? How we are able to move that to Git? Are you right clicking there on that folder?
It is just a folder on your system. Okay, to make it a local repository, you have to run the command git in it.
How we are able to connect this Git to that folder which we have in local system.
Connect to Git means it's not connected to remote it. I just created a folder there in my system. In that folder, I went into this folder. Do you
Okay.
see I'm inside this folder and run the command git init. Then it becomes local repository. I have shown you some time back. It has created .git. It's having .git folder means it's a local repository. You create it with a git init command. And it's
Okay.
not yet connected to remote. We are not talking about remote as of now. We have so many things to be done on local before we go to remote.
So,
Understood?
Preeti, if we want to modify any file text again, so suppose so again we have to add and we have to commit, or we
I'll
just
show you
commit?
that also. That's the next scenario.
Okay.
Is this much clear for all before I go for the next part? Good to go?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. So till now we have created new files, right? So it would be like we will be also modifying the files, right? It's not always creating. It could be deletion, modifying as well. Let's see modifying a file. Suppose I want to modify this file. Okay. Okay. You may use any editors if you are already well versed, you already have good grip on Linux. You may use Vim editor or whatever. Or else if you just comfortable with the UI, you can also do this. Go to the folder. Okay, this is my Git folder. I mean the project, right? So let's say I want to modify this. Open this file. Open this file. Let's say I want to add some line. Okay, I have added some line here. Save it. I made some modification, right? If you want to see whether this modification is there or not, you can just open this file. Okay, this way. This is how you open in your Windows, right? Through GUI. Or else you can open it with a simple CLI command, cat. Cat will show you the content of the file. These are all simple Linux commands. We will learn them separately, but yeah, it is showing the content. Okay, fine. I have made some modification. Now, if you do status, see what it is telling. Changes not staged means where are the changes? Not staged means where are the changes? Can you tell me by referring to this architectural diagram?
Working directory. In working directory.
I want answers from everyone. Can everyone unmute and speak out? Where
Working
are
directory.
these changes? See,
Working directory.
I am insisting on in your interaction. I want everyone to follow perfectly. Definitely, I see in the projects, everyone, you might be aware of it. We see people will be using all these tools without knowing the actual concept. Okay, that makes the difference. For troubleshooting or to clear your interviews, you need to have thorough understanding, good grip on these concepts. Even though you don't know this, you can just push, pull, you can do anything. Am I correct? But don't be the one. Try to master the underlying concepts. Okay. So it is not staged, means the changes were there in the working directory. Correct? Changes are there in the working directory. Now it's asking us to changes not staged. You can commit them like it was asking. Either it's a new file or whether it's a modification, every change will go through the same process. Git works with respect to changes, meaning your change could be modification, your change could be creating a file, your change could be deletion also. Any change will go through the working directory to staging area, from staging to local. That's how it will go. That's what it was saying. Add, and then it will ask me to commit. So now what I should do? I should do git add, and then git commit. Okay. Or else, because it's not a new file, it's a modification, I can add and commit with a single command like this. AM. AM means add and commit. I can do this because it is unstaged changes. There is a difference between unstaged and untracked changes. Unstaged means not staged. Sometime back, do you remember you see the file like untracked? What is meant by untracked change? Both are in staging area only. But what is the difference? Sorry, both are in working directory only. Unstaged, untracked changes are working directory. But what is the difference?
Untracked is the new file.
Untracked means is a new file, and unstaged means is we are on added a new content.
Exactly. It's a new file. Untracked will be shown for new file. In that case, you have to do them separately only. Like a git add, git commit separately only. But if it is unstaged, you can do either ways. Got it? You may do this way or else this way. But here you can do only this way. You can't do this. Got the difference? So you should be able to understand this message. Changes not staged means unstaged. Untracked changes, you have to understand the difference. So now which way method shall I do? We have already seen doing it separately. Let us do with the commit command, right? So what you can do here, git commit -am, let's say file modified, right? Done. Now it is added and committed. You can see the status is good. Got it right, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how any modification, deletion also we will see. Okay, we will talk about deletion also. But before that, yeah, that's how you can understand this architecture. Any change will be moving from working directory to staging area, from staging area to local repository. The interesting point here is this is a single folder or directory on your system where you are developing your files, where you are working on your modifications, or where you are working on your config files. These files could be anything. They might be Kubernetes manifest files, Terraform files, Ansible. For all these projects, we'll be using Git. That's why we are learning it. As we progress, we'll be using it throughout the course so that you will get complete hands-on for 2 months, right? So only the file name changes. That's all. Same is the case if you're a developer, those might be some program files, right? I believe this is all clear for everyone. Now I would like to take this to next step. Yes, tell me.
Yes, Preeti.
Preeti, if I want to move bulk files, is there any way, or it's
If you want to add many files, let's say in your working that you have many files, you can do git add dot. All of them will be added to staging. Or else if you want file names, you can put file names separated by spaces like file 1, file 2, and so on. Or else git add dot.
So git add dot, in after that any file names we have to add, or it's
Git add dot. That's all. It will add all the files. If you want to add few files, then git add, put the file names like this.
okay.
Two things I'm telling. File 1, file 2, file 3. If you need only 3 files. If you want all of them, git add dot. Sorry. Dot. Right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Preeti, one more doubt.
Mm.
If you have multiple files, if you edited in multiple files in Git status, we find 2 files. If you want to update only one file, you have to give the file name only, or in Git commit
Git
command?
add that file name only, whichever you want.
No, in Git add we can use. Shall we use in that case? You can use Git commit.
Okay, git commit is, this is the command we generally use, git commit -m or -am. When you do git commit, whatever in the staging area will be committed, right? But if you want to commit only a particular file, you have to mention that file name in git commit also, like git commit file 1 -m message.
Okay.
Generally,
-a
we
is
do
not
this.
required.
Generally, we do commit -m means we commit whatever in the staging area generally. That's why we have staging area like a preview, right? So you decide and put it in staging area. So you commit them. But still, if you want to control there, you can control this way.
Okay, I have one more doubt. Here we are not using the -a. Means -a is not required in that case if we updating only one file.
You are merging two different things. Git -m, when do you use? If you want to add and commit, you will use. If you only commit, you will use -m. That's a different topic. And the other question is different. Whether you want to commit everything, this is how you do. If you want to commit only one file, you will do this way. Here also, you may use -am. Depends whether you want to add and commit or only commit.
Okay.
So Preeti, each person will have their own working directory, right? It's not like
Yeah, it's in your system. So every person will have their own system, their own working directories.
So if we use commit -am, so all the existing files which is not working, like there are 5 files in that we are working only 2 files. So if we use git commit -am, the unused files also will get committed, or there
Whatever
would be.
mode in the staging area will be
No.
committed. When you do git commit, whatever in the staging area will be committed. See, always you should have this architectural diagram in your mind. Okay, whenever you're talking about git, just refer to this. Whatever in the staging area will be committed. Now, can you repeat your question now? I believe you got answer.
Yes. So
Right, always refer to this diagram. Yeah, whatever in the staging area will be committed. Any more queries? Okay, see, here we were creating some files, right? Like I said, these files might be any files, right? From developers to DevOps or testers, it could be anything. Here how are we modifying it? We were using some editors like a CLI editor, or we were just opening this notepad and modifying it, which is not great, right? We can't write our Kubernetes files and all in the notepad or notepad plus plus and all. So you can use some editors. What is an editor?
Edit a file and add or remove the code.
They were very good editors. Even you should get experience, hands-on experience on those editors. One such editor is Visual Studio.
Visual Studio. Yes.
Right? This is the one. Okay, it's a Visual Studio Code, VS editor, which is very widely used. Even whenever you are attending any interviews, to see their exposure, they were asking you to open the Visual Studio Code editor to show them working with the files, right? So yeah, before interview itself, they will ask you to keep this downloaded. So get hands-on with this also. It's just an editor. Okay, don't get confused. This is not related to, again, coding. Anyone can use it. It's something like Notepad++. You have a Notepad++, right? Or else Notepad. These are all different editors. Or WordPad, same is the case. So again, it works with different systems. Download it accordingly. If it is Windows or Mac, download it. Once you download it, you can just double click. It will launch. This is the editor. Okay, that's a great editor. It supports any programming languages. Even it supports your HCL, like for Terraform, Kubernetes, all these files can be managed with it. It helps you with auto completion, syntax highlighting and all. So it's very good. Similarly here, let me open my folder. You go to File, open the folder. What is the folder name? Okay, see, open this folder. You can use this editor, very good, right? A good editor. Similarly, I just want to run Git here itself. You can also launch your terminal here. Instead of opening another window, here itself, you can launch it. See, it's already there. You can run any commands. It's nothing but your terminal which you have used separately till now. Got it?
Okay.
Good.
Yes.
So instead of downloading the Git initially, we can directly download.
No. You have to install Git on your system. You are able to run Git commands. That's all. Your terminal is being launched here. This is my terminal on Mac. Or else you have your PowerShell in Windows, or else your command line in Windows. Right? Just the terminal you can launch here. That's all. If Git is not installed, it will throw you error. Git is not there.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with Git. You have to install Git. Just that terminal means your command line. What do you say? Your command line in Windows, or your PowerShell. Yeah, those things you can launch. See here, you will see whether you want to launch different terminals also you can do. Like your PowerShell in Windows or anything else. Git should be installed. This is just an editor. Okay. So this is better. I'll be using this from now on. You also can get used to this. This is better way of working with your files. Right? Any more questions in the architectural part? I would like to show you another interesting scenario. Can I go ahead?
yes.
right? Okay. Here I'm just going to create a new file. See, this is how you create file here. I'm going to create a new file called file3.txt. Like I said, I'm not bothering about the content. See, the another advantage of this is it will show you, it is unstaged, right? It will give you, when you keep the cursor, can you see that it's like untracked? That's another advantage of this editor. It's okay. Let's say hello India and let's save it. Okay, now do git status, story, everything is same. Untracked, isn't it? That's what when you keep cursor, it's showing. Anyway, it's untracked means what you should, I'm just repeating the whole scenario with another file. So what I should do? Add it. See, when you add here, it is changed to A. A means added, index added. Now if you do git
Commit.
status, it asks us to commit. Okay, I'll commit. Git commit -m. Let's say new file or new text, whatever, some message. Okay, I just had something. Now I have made some bunch of commits, right? Like I am doing like 3 commits. If you want to see the commits, the bunch of commits, every commit will create a commit ID. You can see them with a git log. Sometime back I'm talking about, right? You need a detailed logging, the person who made the changes, at what time, Monday, January 8th, 35th, a change was made, and this is the commit message. Every commit will have this hash code. It's called SHA commit ID, right? A huge commit ID, which is unique. You can see the complete log this way, right? So that you understand what's happening. If you want to see commits on only particular file, that is also possible. It will show you only 2 commits were there on that file. Or else you want to see a brief commit history. 1 line means just first 6 characters are enough to refer any commit. And the commit message. See, commit message, you should give a proper message so that at a later point after 10 days, I just come and see, okay, I should understand, okay, this is about Terraform change for EC2 instance creation. This is a Terraform change for cluster creation. You put a meaningful message. So that's how messages are useful, right? So this is one thing. And okay, fine, I have created a new file. Now let's suppose I want to make a modification to this file. Okay, I added some line. Now can you tell me, is this third file having some unstaged changes or not?
No, man.
File 3 having unstaged change or not?
Yes, yes.
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 Yes, yes.
Right, obviously it does have the unstaged
Yeah.
the working directory. And to see that unstaged changes, you can do git diff file 3. See, it will show you there were some unstaged changes. Okay, now I want to stage it. How to stage it?
Get add and sorry, it's already there, right? I think get commit
Modification is
AM.
not there. You can do commit in one go, or else I would like to first
Yes.
stage it. So only stage it. So done. Now, is this file having any unstaged changes now?
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't committed.
You need to commit, right?
Unstaged change. Is it having unstaged change?
No.
No, it is already staged.
That's what I'm asking.
By doing an
Unstaged
add, we
change,
have
it is
staged it.
not there. When you do git diff, no output because it's not having unstaged. I just added it.
Correct.
Good. I'm making another change. Another line, some dummy line I'm adding. Now, can you tell me, is this having unstaged change or not?
It is.
Yes, yes, it is.
See, do you see that? Okay. Right, it was showing unstaged change. Is it having staged changes or not? It is having. Second line is staged, right? So here you can see again when you do git diff stage, second line is staged, right? That's what it is showing, right? Means the same file, some changes are staged, some changes are not staged, simple logic, right? Means the same files, it can be seen both under staging and working directory. If you do git status at this point, See, changes to be committed means where is it?
It's in a stage.
Hmm?
Unstaged.
Staging area.
No,
Changes
yeah,
not
staging
staged
area.
means where is it?
It's a working directory.
Working directory means when you do git status, same file 3 is shown under staging, same file is shown under working directory. So don't get confused. That could be the simple logic. Understood the logic? Right?
Correct.
Yeah, so don't get confused there because it's simple thing. Sometimes some changes might be added. Later on, again, some changes might be made. So whenever you see this, don't get confused. This is again from the perspective of your analysis or from the point of interview or tricky question. Can we have the same file under both staged and unstaged? Yes, this is the
Yes, we can.
This could be the scenario. Now I want to add and commit. I can do git commit -am and file new modification, whatever modified, right? Or else you may add and commit separately also. Got it, everyone? That is an interesting scenario. It is all good. Are we good? So see, what I would suggest is please do the hands-on. Whatever we have done exactly, watch the recording or do the hands-on. Then you might be having some scenarios in your mind, right? What happens if we do this way? What happens if I move this way? So just try out those things, experiment those things after doing whatever we have done in the class. Okay, today as the first session, you can go through the same thing. As we go by, you will get more scenarios for hands-on. Also, how you have to do the hands-on is, like I said, you watch the recording and parallelly do the hands-on. Okay, once that is done, you have a quiz for today's topics. Quiz on today's topics. This is what you have to go through. Go through this portal. Here is the quiz portal. You might be wondering, why do we need this quiz? Because we never have this multiple choice quiz. This is for you to revise your understanding and to register the concepts, right? If you ask in a questionnaire, you will get the things registered. See here, you have to log in with your same Gmail ID. You will be registering with us for all the drive access and YouTube recording access. With the same email ID, you should log in and take up this quiz. These are all related to our discussion today. There'll be definitely 1 or 2 pointers out of topic that is for you to explore and answer. Okay, if you have any questions on this quiz, you can reach out to me. Right, that's the first thing you have to do after watching the class and doing the hands-on. Right, once that is also done, you have the interview questions. Okay, again, go to Git, start going through them. Okay, start going through them, beginner level. Today we have started whatever content we have covered, you can go through them. These things are not yet covered, so you just revise few things. As the first day, there were only few things, go through them. Okay, so as you complete Git, you should be completing all these things here. Scenario-based questions, everything. That's how plan your day, plan your practice. Okay, and all the commands we have used, whatever we have used will be there in the drive here. Okay, here are all the commands: Git installation, Git hands-on commands, connecting to VA. Okay, this is not required now, later on. And the presentation which I have used is also available in the drive. So this architectural diagram is one you have to refer whenever you have any query. Any more queries? That is all for today. Tomorrow we shall get to other topics. But anything else from your end? Any more questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Priti, I just joined late today. Did you share this link actually? Google Drive link?
Links will be shared by Mr. Raj. Okay, once you are enrolled, you will get access to all of them. You can connect with him for all that access.
Razu number, where can I get this Razu number? Should we share that? Sorry, maybe I'm repeating, I don't know.
Yeah, yesterday I have shared it, but Don't mind it sharing. Again, here is the number.
Yeah, if you don't mind, can you share?
Sure. I'm sharing in the Zoom chart window here.
Yeah.
Got the number?
Yes.
You can text him or you can call him for any other details. And I have shown you what are all the things you should go through, how you should practice. Please follow that from day one so that you will benefit, you will reap maximum benefits from the course. Any other queries?
Madam, that portion I have a little bit confusion, ma'am. What we are controlling that portion?
Huh?
So what we are controlling, like version control system, you told me. What we are controlling there, like version. I didn't get that point. I don't want to interrupt you middle. That's right.
Okay, well, you mean what versions you are managing?
Yes, sir.
Like say we were developing our changes, right? We are making our changes, modifying the changes. We are having these files, right? Now this is the file. At any point of time, you just want to have only this line like earlier. You can retrieve it. Okay, we'll also see the revert commands. There are a lot many things we need to go through. You will understand by the end of the Git. The point here is, okay, you have this file with 3 lines. Maybe 10 days back, I have only this line in the file. Maybe I want those changes, not the changes happened all these days. I want it 10 days back. Yes, you can get the file, which is at the same state or before 10 days or so. You can retrieve those changes or state of that file. That's what is maintaining versions.
Okay.
How to do that, we will see. We'll do the hands-on. We are going step by step. We will go through those things.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more queries from anyone?
So for Windows system, like how to practice batch, like using command line or?
See, a Windows download I have shown you, right? I have shown you how to download everything on Windows.
No, Git I have downloaded and even Visual Studio, but to practice this commands.
You go to Start menu and run Git Bash.
Okay.
After installing it, go to Start menu and run Git Bash there.
Okay.
It will open you a Git Bash window. There you can do Git commands. Creating folders, creating files, you can do using Visual Studio Code, or else you can use GUI also. Like you right click and create the folders, right? Files. That way also you can do on Windows.
Through commands bash, I cannot use touch cat, right?
You can use.
Okay.
That's a bash terminal. You can use any Linux commands also.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
Same like how I did on terminal, you can use that Git bash. If anyone not comfortable using CLI, you can use GUI also. Like you double click, create the files folders, you can do that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right then. That's all for today. Thank you all for joining. Have a good day. See you all tomorrow. Bye everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye bye.